speaking of winners of the offseason so far, dude, the Ottawa Senators, they traded for Alex DeBrincat. They signed Claude Giroux. They have a legitimate, like, fear-inducing top six forward group now. You have Alex DeBrincat and Brady Tkachuk down the left side. You have Norris and Stützle down the middle. You have Batherson and Giroux. Not necessary, probably not in that order right away. But then you have a guy like Austin Watson. You have Matthew Joseph, and they had another guy who I'm forgetting off the top of my head. But they have a decent forward group with a legitimate top six.
They absolutely do. And, I think I'm so happy that you mentioned Josh Norris. And, it's not only the players in the top six, it's the prospects as well. Jake Sanderson is coming up through the system. He's looking really good. Jacob Bernard-Docker is coming up through the system as well. So this team, Eric Brandstrom, who was acquired in the trade for Mark Stone with the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah, I love how that trade is not looking good.
No, we'll get to that. I'm going to rip into Vegas by the time.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that, and we're going to look forward to it. Oh, Alex Formanton, that was the guy who I was forgetting.
Shane Pinto, still. They added Cam Talbot. I mean, man, Pierre Dorian. I mean, I hate to say this, and I'm not saying this to be rude or to make a joke. Maybe Eugene Melnyk. Maybe that was the best thing to happen to the Ottawa Senators, right? Because once he kicked the can, I mean, they have just absolutely changed the trajectory of their franchise. Pierre Dorian finally, after years of being locked up, feels like he has the opportunity to run and maneuver and make this team the way he wants. And man, this offseason, if it's any indication on what type of team he's trying to build, it's a winner, and they're going to win soon. So again, like Montreal, good on Ottawa. As a Ranger fan who just made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, you love to see teams who are at the bottom of the barrel push their way up, while teams who have been at the top for a long time, your Bruins, your Capitals, your Penguins, taking a deep dive down. It's good to see.
Yes, it is. And just to piggyback off the Melnyk and Dorian point, I mean, the framework was there for Dorian, but he couldn't really put it into action until this offseason. Because they've been accumulating picks for a while now, and you knew, okay, Ottawa's doing something here, but what are they doing? Because for a while there, they were just like, what are they doing?
And you know what? You talk about the picks. I think it's also about picking your spots, right? When to trade away your top draft picks. And I think that Pierre Dorian saw Alex DeBrincat on the market and realized, wow, this is a guy who can score 40 goals for my team for the next 5 seasons, and I should not take Chicago's mess up, or I guess misleading thinking, as to not go out and get this player, because there's going to be a lot of other teams who are willing to give up maybe even better assets to get the same guy. So again, good on Ottawa. They really, it's about what you do with your draft picks, and they really made some good decisions. And their top six looks dangerous, a lot better than some of the other teams in the Atlantic. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah, and another thing, I didn't think they gave up that much for DeBrincat either.
Yeah, what was it? The 7th overall pick, and was it the 29th pick as well? Or
I think it ended up being the 7th. A 2nd and a 3rd.
Okay. Hey, the Islanders gave up a 1st, a 2nd, and a 3rd for John Gabriel Pageau. So
this is true. I'm looking at the it was the 7th overall pick, the 39th overall pick, and a 2024 3rd.
Yeah, well, DeBrincat, you have to remember, he only has 1 more year left on his contract, so he is going to have to sign an extension. But hey, when you're Pierre Dorian and you're the Ottawa Senators, you're closer to the cap floor than you are the ceiling, so you can afford to re-sign Alex DeBrincat to a long-term high AAV deal. So
they have a current projected cap hit of 62.9, so they have plenty of space to work with.
Right, and trading Matt Murray is a big reason why.
Yeah,
even
and that's
25%.
Yeah, and that's with Brady Tkachuk locked in for, I think, 8 years or six more years, and Batherson locked in for 5. Stützle is going to need an extension next year.
He hasn't lit the world on fire, so you can extend Stützle. maybe for a team that's hard pressed against the cap, you go for a bridge deal with your young players. But for the Senators, who have a lot of cap space, hey, they can go to Stutzler right now and say, let me lock you up for 7 years at a lower AAV. And then suddenly you got a great contract on your hands, for a former number 2 overall pick. So,
Yeah, and like you said, they got Cam Talbot. They traded Philip Gustafson straight up.
yeah.
They were able to unload Matt Murray to the Leafs. We definitely are going to circle back to them because that's a fucking L. They upgraded in goal. They upgraded their top 6 forward group in 2 different places, both wings. And holy shit, man. Like, this team is coming, and soon.
Yeah, Jake Sanderson's able to break the lineup at a training camp. I don't know if he will because it takes defensemen a little bit longer to develop. But if he can come in and play alongside Thomas Chabot, and that defensive core can get shored up just a little bit, Cam Talbot comes in with a chip on his shoulder, having the Wild sign Marc-Andre Fleury and overkeeping him. Things could fall in the right direction for the Senators. They can make the playoffs.
Oh, 100%. They need like 1 or 2 more depth forwards. And like I would say 1 top 4 defenseman and a better depth defenseman, and they're a playoff team. So they're like 3 players away from being a playoff team.
Shades, I'm going to put out a prediction right now. There's 1 free agent that has not signed yet, and I think he's going to sign with the Ottawa Senators, and his name is John Klingberg. I think
that's an interesting one.
I think Klingberg will be a Sen. You just told me they have 60, they're at $62 million right now. They got $20 million of cap space to work with not a lot of players more to sign. Man, Chabot and Klingberg with those prospects coming up behind them. Whew, could be a Stanley Cup party in Ottawa before there's one in Toronto. Could be.
I love how that's half reality, half joke, which is great.
No, that's 75% reality. That they're that close. They really are, because these prospects are good. Man, Sanderson is one of the best defensive prospects to come through the league in quite a while.
Yeah.
And Bernard Docker and Pinto.
Yeah, no, they got something. They got something brewing there for sure. And if Klingberg does sign there, they're making a very, very strong case to be a playoff team.
And let me also say this about Ottawa. He doesn't get talked about a lot because I think that there are some coaches, that warrant more discussion about being underrated. DJ Smith is a very good coach. And,
Yes.
I think maybe he gets overlooked because he's in Ottawa, but now you have a well-coached team, a well-owned team. Rest in peace to Eugene Melnyk, but that's just the way it is. You have a well-managed team from the front office. You have a top 6 that can compete with any other top 6 in your division. You got prospects coming up, just as good as any other team in the league. And you have 2 goaltenders who are both capable of being starters. Anton Forsberg was so underrated last year for Ottawa. When Matt Murray went down and when he was injured, he stepped in and he stole some victories for them. So Cam Talbot, and Anton Forsberg, that's going to be an underrated tandem as well. People are really, really underappreciating the Ottawa Senators, and I'm happy that you're not one of them and that you're right on with me with how, bright their future was.
Hey, good hockey moves are good hockey moves.
They are, yeah.